Man, do I know the title of this video is going to trigger people. Real estate is a young man's game. I'm going to say it again. Real estate is a young man's game. Think I'm wrong? You don't believe me? Leave me a comment if you disagree. But by the end of this video, I want you to leave another comment and let me know if you agree with my take. Because I believe, factually, we can see that it's a young man's game. So let's take a look. The average age in real estate for an agent right now, I think, is 55. You know, it's up in the 50s. I haven't checked again recently, but it's up there, right? I think we have a pretty healthy balance between men and women. I think there's more women than men in real estate. Correct me if I'm wrong. I need to maybe update myself on the metrics again for that specific thing. But I know that generally speaking, the average agent is older. I think it was like less than 10% of the industry was younger than 35. So the vast majority of people are older. Yet what we're seeing, this main thing is, as that trend has been going more towards the older crowd, right, being in real estate, the failure rate has increased. And the reason that I think that's happened, especially in this era, is, number one, real estate is a young man's game. But number two, things are changing. The world is evolving, right? Technology is coming in. And although we're still doing the old school stuff in real estate, the modern era, I think, has shoved out a lot of the older generations because it's not that they can't. It's not that they're not capable. It's they refuse to adopt and do a lot of these things. And the younger generation is not only willing to adopt them, but they're willing and able, and they have the energy to put in the work. And that's really why I think it's a young man's game. Now, that doesn't mean that you could be my age, right, around 40 or older, and not do well. But it is a young man's game. Why? Number one, building up a real estate business takes a tremendous amount of dedication, time, and effort. A lot of people who are older don't want to put in the work. A lot of people already my age don't want to put in the work. Even some youngsters don't want to put in the work, but forget it. Generally speaking, as we get older, we either work less, we become less physically capable, or both. Or number three, we don't have the desire to want to work more. We're in the, mid stages of our lives in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? We're in that golden era, and we don't want to put in the work anymore. A lot of us, unless we have a new idea, a new invention, or something like that, right? Now, I think because I'm healthier, and I'm very driven and purposeful and clear about what I want in life, I still have that 18-year-old energy. But a lot of people don't. But that's why I believe it's a young man's game. If you want to lead, if you want to sell, if you want to get out there and talk to people and move and shake and wake up early every day and get to work, you need that young person energy. And generally speaking, it's going to be more for that younger generation. Number two, the older we get, the more stubborn that we get, the more stuck in our ways that we get. We have a lot of bad habits that are anti being successful in this industry of real estate. And we don't want to admit it. I'm stubborn just as much as the next person. Now, I've demonstrated a lot of flexibility in my character and development over the years, but I'm not immune to being stubborn at times like anybody else. But when you're younger, you have less tendency to be that way. You haven't been stuck doing that certain thing a certain way or that routine for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Like right now, me getting people to even consider not drinking coffee or not having alcohol or not smoking cigarettes. It's like I'm in this tug of war. Society's against me, they're against me. They'll admit that it's bad for them, but they'll still defend it. I mean, it's just insane. Now, obviously, somebody who's younger, who maybe has only been smoking for a couple months, it's going to be easier for them to get off of it. But somebody who's been smoking for 20, 30, 40 years, you get the point. They're stuck in their ways a lot more. Think about our parents, our grandparents, who maybe their attitude is a little bit off, or we notice that their pet peeves, right, kind of annoy us. Well, they've been that way for 20, 30, 40 years. That's why a lot of people say, hey, just don't bother. They're not going to change. Okay? So in this point is the bad habits and that stubbornness. Generally speaking, the younger generation doesn't have that. So when let's look at myself. I bring in a new team member, a new coaching member, right? Somebody who joins Distinguished Agent or something like that. Now I get both sides of the coin, right? Because I would say my programs and what I offer in my team is probably the most diverse out there in regards to race, gender, religion, all that, right? Like we have everything across the board. We even have people worldwide, New Zealand, Australia, Europe. I mean, it's super cool. I think that's a testament of what I put out and who I am. That's why it attracts that. But let's look at this example of younger versus older. Typically, generally speaking, both will have success in my stuff. However, I will notice, generally speaking, again, that the younger generations typically are more hip to things. They get on it quicker. There's less resistance, and they're a lot more likely to just join my stuff and get to work and do the thing. Versus with the older crowd, typically, it requires maybe a little bit more hand-holding. It takes them a little bit longer, right? It takes them longer to get acclimated. They won't jump in as quickly. They won't jump in as ferociously, generally speaking. We'll see this difference. So I see it. Here's a big one, right? When we're younger, we're not as risk averse. A lot of people are unwilling to spend that money to get their license or get coaching or dedicate themselves to something risky like this that has no guaranteed paycheck. And when you're younger, 18 to 28, something like that, that risk meter is a lot higher. You're willing to jump in and say, fuck it, right? Maybe you don't have kids. You have a lot less real life responsibilities. So all these reasons I'm stacking up push us more towards it's a young man's game, or at the very least that it favors the young man. Now, if you're following me so far, let me know. Leave me a comment. But I think some of these things are important because you will have exceptions to the rule, because I believe that I'm the exception to the rule in this category for sure. Now, I got in when I was younger. I was in my late 20s. I was 28, almost 12 years ago now when I got into the business. But even at that age, a lot of people already are older, in quotes, where they exhibit a lot of these qualities that I'm talking about in this video. I still, to this day, get up early, have an extreme zest for life, do my best to not be as stubborn, have that energy, have that competitiveness, the drive, and I'm working a lot, right? So, but that's not the norm, especially when I start looking at my age group and above. So we have to acknowledge that, right? And most of the people I run with from a physical standpoint, athletic standpoint, competitive standpoint, are people in their early to mid 20s. My circle outside of business doesn't have people my age or older. I have a few business contacts and people that I work with and some people I met through networking and business owners, sure. I know plenty of people like that, but the people I run with and hang out with or go out with or work out with, they're all 10, 15, 20 years younger than me. See, but I don't stick out like a sore thumb with them though, that's the point. So if you are older, you're gonna have to start adopting some of these qualities because at the very least we can agree that it would be beneficial for you to take more risks, to have more energy, to show up, to work more aggressively and ferociously, to not be so stubborn, to embrace, right? Look at me, I'm a great example. Especially in this industry of somebody who embraced the old school. I champion the old school. I salute the old school. I love the cold calling and the door knocking, the traditional business principles, building relationships. That's what this business is about at its core. And I love that. And I teach that and I embody it. And that's why I truly believe I've had the success that I've had. And I will continue to. Working with a developer now and it keeps getting better and better. But I injected and infused it and incorporated the new school, which is the online stuff, the marketing, the social media, and look at the brand that I've built and look what I've done. The track record speaks for itself. I've done both. Very few people have done that at a high level. We either have the people who are old school to the day they die and they reject everything about the new school, or the people who are all social media, new age stuff, all the old school stuff, right? And it's like this constant battle where I'm one of the few who came in and said, I'm gonna master both and I'm gonna do both. And that's ultimately, I think, what people need to do. But ask yourself this, who's more likely to do what I did? The younger person coming in or the older person? Of course, the younger person. They're gonna be more open to that versus the older person's gonna be more stuck in their ways and their beliefs. And hey, I know better, right? We know, I do the same thing. I now find myself almost mentoring younger men, 10, 15, 20 years younger. And I have a little bit of that now, like that OG, father, grandfather type of advice where, and a lot of times I'll just assume that I'm right because I have the wisdom, right? So I get it, right? But you got to do both. And this is why, again, I truly believe that it's a young man's game. So, we can dance around this subject and talk about it more and more. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are, right? I'm not saying that older people can't have success in real estate. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, generally speaking, it is more of a young man's game, as is business and all that. Especially in the beginning stages, right? Maybe the later stages or somebody who maybe buys a business or something like that, we can make a separate argument, but I'm talking about real estate, the hustle, the grind, the beginning stages, the building phase. I really think it's more catered towards a younger person. So if you're watching this and you're 16, 18, 25, 30, basically 35 and below, right? You have a tremendous opportunity in front of you. And a lot of people will not understand the points in this video, and they won't see the opportunity that's in real estate. I'm thankful every day for real estate and all the opportunities that it afforded me and the lifestyle that it's given me and the world that it's just opened up to me. I mean, it opened up the world like an oyster to me, and it's awesome. But I treated it right, and I treated the business with respect, and I understood I was gonna have to take risks and do a lot of the things that I described in this video, waking up early, staying late, putting in extra work, right? And putting that young man and hungry entrepreneur energy into it. And I just think that the younger person is more likely to do that, and it benefits them. And this is why a lot of the things that I do target more of the younger audience, because I think this is what they need to hear, right? So if you're an older person like me or up there even more, you know, I salute you too. I really think that you can have just as much success as the younger generation. I just think generally speaking, it's gonna be a little bit more tougher, because we have these obstacles that we've built up within ourselves, right? So I'd be curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. If real estate's a young man's game or not. I really think it is, and I will champion that until the end of my time in the business and doing this entrepreneurial stuff, which who knows when that's gonna end, right? Anything you guys need, coaching, training, any help, all the links are in the description. You can get on my email list. I have several levels of, you know, courses and coaching and all that stuff. So depending on what your budget is and what you're looking for, salespeople, real estate people, I got something for you. Check it out, or you can DM me on Instagram or Facebook if you have a specific question. All right. Other than that, appreciate y'all. Take a moment to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Hit the thumbs up button, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.